Hey everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. Welcome back to Hustle State of Mind podcast. My name is James. Some of you know me as Zach Norris. And we're here with episode 2. Very, very exciting episode. Very exciting guest. A little background about our guest today is he's an Anytime Fitness gym owner. He is a personal trainer. He is a high school coach. He's done a lot with the local community around him and helped out the youth a ton. Let's just get right into it. Without further ado, here's Paul Vance from Anytime Fitness. Hey, Paul, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, James.
Awesome, man. Awesome. It's good to have you here. I know it. I brought this up to you a couple weeks ago, and without any hesitation at all, you were like, "Yes, I'll do this." And sincerely, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks for thinking about me and asking me. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. One of the big things, again, I brought this up to you a little bit earlier, but it's the biggest thing on this podcast is to kind of interview entrepreneurs and hear about the values and mindset that they have while being an entrepreneur and focusing on those insights. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what we're going to touch a little bit about today. Is I'm going to ask you about the business, and then we'll keep going from there. So go ahead. Let's start off. Let's get into it. Tell us a little bit about what you do and how everything works. How'd you get involved in Anytime?
Right. So I always knew I wanted to do something in fitness. I ran track in college. I was a college athlete. So kind of having that background kind of gave me the idea of like, all right, I need to do something with fitness. I didn't know if it was owning a gym, just doing personal training or whatever. And once I finished up school and then I started working at a gym, I was like, all right, not only do I want to work here, I want to own one of these things. I want to put my effort in more than I already am, because as a trainer, if you're first getting into it and you want to be successful, you're putting in long hours. You're talking to people, constantly reaching out to people. I don't want to say cold calling, but kind of are, because you're walking around the gym talking to people and trying to basically get them to train with you. And so after a little bit, I was like, man, I'm putting more work in than the actual owner. So I was like, I got to do what I need to try to own one of these things. And that's kind of where the drive came from originally. And I would say I ran track, so again, being I don't want to say individualized sport, but it is, because you're the one running, but in the end, it's a team sport. But having that mindset of, all right, I can do this, I have to put the work in, I have to do this to be successful, kind of gave me that drive also to know that I can at least run a business in the sense of that I can do my own portion. I don't know how it'll be with employees, but I know from my standpoint, I'll be able to do what's necessary, at least to keep it flowing and figuring things out when obstacles come up. So that's kind of what gave me my drive. And the gym portion of it, just like I said, it came natural to me. I was always an athlete and always worked out, and so it just seemed to be the natural fit for me.
Very cool, very cool. So were you just you landed in Berkley with Anytime? Were you just shopping around one day for a gym, or who got you into the Anytime sector of that? Yeah,
that's a good question. So honestly, when I would come home from college, I needed somewhere to work out, and so I have bounced around a few different spots, tried a few other gyms. Wasn't the biggest fan of them, and shockingly, Anytime came across, and I was like, what's this 24-hour gym? And I walk in, and the guy who's working the desk actually went to high school with.
Okay.
Yeah, so he and I were talking, and one thing that I did a little bit more, and he's like, yeah, try the gym out. He's like, this is a good spot to be. It's local. It's obviously a more community-style gym. If you know where the location's at, it's just like in the middle of a downtown where it's walkable, so it made it very easy. So anyways, worked out there, and then when I finished up with school, my buddy reached out to me and was like, you interested in working here? He's like, we can use another trainer. Our trainer actually just quit. And so I was like, yeah, sure, why not? So he actually is the one who brought me into it and got me going in the sense of, all right, this is the gym I want to start at. And they actually owned another location at the time. And so I worked out, between the two locations. One here in Berkeley and then one in Madison Heights.
Wow, okay. Mm-hmm. So from kind of being a customer there, you got involved. So what happened? Did the owner just come up to you and he's like, hey, do you want to buy this gym?
So I became kind of close with the owner. There was a couple things that he needed help with that I was willing to help him with. And obviously he knew I was a solid worker, I guess, after a while. And so he's like, all right, I want you to be our manager here. All right, cool. I'm like, I know I can handle that. And so when I started managing, he was a great owner in the sense of hands off, but hands on. If something's going wrong, obviously he can reach out to you, but he could go a week without saying anything to me because he knew I was doing my job, and obviously they were making money too. So when those aren't falling off and numbers are good or going higher, well, that's the ideal dream if you're an owner, right? You have a great manager you can trust, and he's doing his job, pay them accordingly, and that kind of gave me that. So anyways, it was actually a little bit before COVID. I brought it up to him that, hey, I'm really interested in purchasing the gym, and then COVID rolled around. And yeah, exactly. But we still knew we wanted to make the deal and everything, and so we were able to still do everything. So I was very confident in my abilities to be able to get the gym back to where it needs to be, and everything else that would come along with any struggles that we might have. And so that's honestly when it happened. And prior to actually purchasing it, the great part is the owner's like, you're basically own the place anyways. You do everything. So he obviously knew that, I was the person probably to purchase it from in the future.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool, man. That's huge because, a lot of times people either start from the ground up or you kind of get something that's fully functioning and running, which you were kind of able to inherit, which is really, really awesome.
It really was.
And I will say, I'm not the biggest, buffest guy in the world, but I really am I'm obsessed with fitness. Mm-hmm. I'm obsessed with pretty much the consistency of working out all of the time. I think that, consistency is more important than even how much can you lift and stuff like that.
Agreed.
So with that being said, I've gone to so many gyms over from living in California. Anytime is my favorite. It really is because you take such good care of the place. If you haven't been there, check it out. It's really cool because he's doing a lot of construction there, in opening more space, getting new machines, and really just I mentioned this to you earlier. One of the coolest things that I see is that how involved there's high school kids that working out, but they're not just up there messing around working out. They're up there working out.
Yeah.
And it's cool. And you have some type of impact with being a high school coach. So I think they're kind of all really. You're kind of bringing them over saying, hey, check this out. And it's a safe place for you guys to work out.
Yeah.
It's really awesome what you do there, man. It's really cool.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So kind of to touch base a little bit more in your business and stuff, what's your biggest challenge being a gym owner, as far as what are you running into?
Right. I'd say for me, sometimes I run into a couple different things because my first passion is personal training and working with clients who then become basically friends because you're with each other all the time and you actually have common goals, and sometimes you don't always have that with your friends. So that sometimes becomes a challenge in the sense of I almost sometimes focus more on my training aspect than I do maybe on the gym, which is not saying it's good or bad. It's just I really like to see people reach their goals and reach whatever they're trying to. And so with that, sometimes the gym stuff might become a step behind, but then I realize that and then I put in all my effort to get the gym back up to where it needs to be or where I believe it should be. And so the biggest challenges I would say, if you have a gym, there's a lot of different people, there's a lot of different personalities. You got a lot of different things going on in a gym. It's not
I bet. Yeah.
So that's probably one of the bigger challenges is you try to figure out that nice mix of what gym equipment and what kind of gym you want to have. Because you could go to a straight powerlifting gym. Well, you're probably not going to have nearly as many members because not everyone's into powerlifting. You can go to a straight bodybuilding gym and probably not going to have as many members because not everyone's into bodybuilding. Or you can go to a CrossFit gym only. Well, you're limiting yourself. And my whole thing is, it's fitness. There's so many different things to it. As you kind of mentioned, when you go in, you do different stuff. And so it's something that I want the gym to be is that anyone is welcome there because you can do anything you want in the gym. If you want to run only on a treadmill, you got that option. You want to lift heavy dumbbells, we got heavy dumbbells. So we try to make sure we have a mix for everything, and that's probably the biggest challenge, is trying to make sure we're always staying on top of that.
Yeah, catering to the community of different type of lifters.
Yeah.
And I mean, not even lifters though, but like you said, there's the HIIT workout people, cardio, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can definitely see. And I mean, again too, like you'd mentioned, it sounds like you're trying to hit two different gas pedals at the same time with personal training and running the gym.
Yeah.
Balancing that. And that is one of the things I was thinking about up into this is on the personal trainer aspect. I think it's so cool because in one sense you were your own client. You are constantly I go in there all the time. I see you working out. You are showing yourself new workout techniques, new methods, and you're probably learning all the time. And everything you're doing to yourself, you're also, projecting onto your clients as well and saying, hey, listen, I saw this, or there's this new machine that hits this different muscle group that's really effective now, and I kind of just learned about this. I think it's so cool that, again, like, there's not many industries where most people are their own client as well, which is really cool.
Yeah, actually, that's a great way to put it, because I get that question all the time of, well, how do you know how to do this workout for us or put these things together? Well, I did it and it sucked.
Right, yeah.
I know if I didn't like doing it, you're not going to like it. So it probably means it's good for both of us.
Right.
But yeah, I'm always testing new stuff out on myself first, like you said, when it comes to either heavy lifting into some type of crazy cardio stuff or any of those types of things.
Yeah, I mean, I even like sometimes, one of the things I do the most is the assault bike there.
Yeah.
I always peek over when I'm doing that and see what you have on the board for people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, that looks like hell. Like, but in a great way, because, when it comes to working out, you got to love the suck, embrace the process.
Exactly.
If you can do that, you'll end up truly loving the suck, which is really cool.
No, that's very true.
So yeah, that's awesome, man. If I could have a whole nother segment with you and ask, like, man, do you ice plunge?
Yeah. Right.
All that stuff. I mean, I've talked about that before, but so there's stuff like that, but there's also stuff, I like to kind of focus on, like, the podcast is Hustle State of Mind. So, I want to talk about hustling too, and a little bit about, like, making money and stuff like that. But to kind of to keep your hustle, right? Is there any, like, motivational quote or anything that you kind of like standard that you follow that keeps you up and gets you out of bed every day to get you grinding?
Yeah. I don't know if I ever heard this quote or if it's something I made up or what, but I use this a lot with mainly my basketball players and athletes. Focus to execute. I feel like if you're not focused on what you're trying to do, you're never going to execute exactly how you want it done. Like, sure, someone can give me something, can I get the job done? Yeah, but it might be at 70% of what it really needs to be. If you're fully focused, I really think you can actually, the cliche thing, right? You can achieve anything. But that does come from being focused. If you are focused on what you have to get done, then it should make your job easier. And when I say that, it doesn't mean I'm just focusing on the things that I have to get done. I'm realistic. Yeah, I like to try to do everything myself, but I do know that I need help. I do know I need employees. So now I have to be focused to make sure that they know what to do so that they can execute their job at the best of their ability, and to help them make sure that they're focused and comfortable on what they need to get done. So that's a quote that I've always used. We use it as our basketball slogans half the time. I mean, I use it on, if you ever look at my Instagram and see a hashtag, it's always focus to execute on there, because it's, again, whenever I'm working out, same thing. It's focusing on what I need to get done so I can execute it. When it comes to the business, same thing. I'll look at our sales numbers. Well, let's focus in where they're low or why it's not where it was the previous month, let's say. Or maybe it was way better because we were a little bit more focused on it and we were able to execute our job a little bit better.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. No, I love that focus to execute. That's really dope. No, I like, there's my favorite one is what's hard in the beginning is easier later on. Stuff like that. So no, and no, you're right. If you, it doesn't matter how cliche it sounds. Like if you believe it, you can achieve it. Yep. It's just you have to put one foot in front of the other and start doing the work.
Agreed.
And constantly learning all of that stuff. So that's really cool. I love that.
Yeah.
And you just brought up like your sales and stuff like that. Like when it comes to when you took on this role, did you do anything? Like I always ask, because like the most uncomfortable thing for most business owners is the sales aspect of it.
Yeah.
Like customer service, people are like, oh, I got that. That's no problem.
Right.
I can do, some basic accounting on paper. That's no problem. I'll just throw on some music and do it. But marketing and getting new business, yikes, that scares a lot of people. That's a tough hat to wear for a lot of business owners, which, like you kind of mentioned it, cold calling, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Are you naturally a salesperson? Is that something you had to kind of mold into?
I get that question a lot, and I don't know if it just came natural to me because I don't feel like I'm doing it. that makes sense. It's not like I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta make this call to get this thing done and make sure this person signs up or that. I just honestly believe in what I do, and I really feel like just from that, it kind of made me a salesperson, if that makes sense, in the sense of I'm confident in what we have to offer, what I have to offer. So basically, yes, in the fitness industry, it is different. Like you'd mentioned, you're selling yourself, basically. Who wants to sign up with me for personal training if I can't do it, right? If I'm asking you to do something, and all of a sudden you're like, well, he can't.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I feel like sales in that sense is kind of came natural to what I do. And same thing, I get people asking questions all the time about, hey, how can I improve this? How can I improve this? Well, you know what? I do believe, yes, sales at the end of the day, yes, you want to make money, you gotta live. But giving someone one word of free advice goes so much further than you really think. And that one word of advice you give them could change their complete perspective to where they're like, yeah, sure, now I do want to train with you, or yeah, I do want to purchase this from you now. So I think that one thing you can do for somebody is absolutely huge.
100%. That is massive because especially when you're making the own call and you know what expense is it to you, and it's all determined on that scale of like, okay, this is no big deal for me. Why don't I just throw them a bone and see what I get in return? And maybe most of the time you'll get nothing.
Yeah.
But you'll start seeing something, and guess what comes out of something? Word of mouth, referral, stuff like that, which is absolutely huge. I recently had this conversation with Walter, our producer here, and was telling him like, you know, like one business model that I like is like, you know, coming in low or offering something with your services, and you know, then once the service starts working, go ahead. What cost is it to you?
Yeah.
And I definitely that's awesome, man. I think sales is, for so many people, it's a tough one, but if it's just part of your conversation where you're a very personable person, I mean, I feel like you grand slam it all the time. I hear you talking to people all the time. Like, it's inevitable. I go to the gym at least 4 times a week, so I hear you talking. Even with your current clients, you're still just like honestly trying to like constantly improve them, and I think that all that goes a long way to generate more sales for you down the road, right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And to kind of piggyback off that, I think when you are valuable to even just one person, you never know how many people they might have in their network either. And so that's also why, kind of like you're saying, is, you know, when I'm training with someone or working with somebody or just trying to sell someone, just sign up for the gym, not even to do personal training, is to be wholehearted about exactly what you feel, because if they also love what you're giving them, they're probably going to tell someone they know. And that person's probably going to ask them then, you know, oh, I want to try that, or I want to be a part of that. So I think that's probably been a bigger thing for me too when it comes to sales, is just that extra motivation of pushing the people I'm working with, not knowing exactly who they're going to tell or what they're going to tell. But it's been a good thing because a lot of my clients and a lot of people that are in the gym, it's been referrals.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's awesome. So it's all reflective on who you are and what you do. And I definitely, I mean, one thing I just think about, I think about one client in particular of yours that's always there when I'm there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. It's a lady.
Oh yeah,
and,
I know exactly.
And man, and I sometimes I see her and I'm like, man, like you put so much focus, effort, and attention on her to really you're so involved. You're not just the trainer that's kind of on their phone in between sets and stuff like that. You're there full time, and it's really awesome to see what you do, because even that, like when I see that, I'm like, man, this guy's selling without even trying to sell, because if you're just around and you watch what you do, like, you're like, man, he's killing it. He's doing a great job. And the more consistent than me or anybody I've ever seen in the gym is that lady.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Incredible.
She's amazing.
Incredible.
She puts in so much work, and the fact that she's always there is a great part.
Yeah, that's awesome. As far as business goes, what's the next move? How do you increase revenue? Right now, what's your business plan? How are you going to make more money moving forward in the future?
So I do a lot of online training. I do promote that. I don't want to say I don't like it, because I do like the online trading portion, but it's a lot different than being in person, because in person I can tell if you're doing the work or not. When it's online, so of course someone can be like, oh yeah, let me put a little check mark, say I did today's workout, when maybe they did 10 minutes of the actual 40-minute thing, right? But that's been something I've been trying to do more increasingly, in the sense of, for the online stuff, of having more set goals and you actually performing those goals, whether it's either on film, and I don't care if it's just you doing our bench press or whatever, or you tracking things through, a workout app, in the sense of, all right, you got to run a 5K today. All right, well, we're going to time it so we know exactly what it is, and we can actually see everything on there. So online portion, I'll be pushing a lot more of that. And for the gyms in Michigan, at least, summer's always a little bit slower. So we try to come up with some better ideas for summer plans, and most of our summer stuff is geared a little bit more towards group training, so that way you can get your workout in, let's say in the morning. and go enjoy the rest of the day since it's, finally nice here in Michigan. So we do a lot of that, and we do a lot of stuff with high schools in the summers too. Me being a high school athlete, I remember how lazy I could get sometimes in the summer, so it's nice when it's held accountable to have to go do stuff. And it's a lot easier too when you're with your peers, I feel like, especially at that age, of making sure you're getting the work in and actually putting the effort in, because if you don't, nothing's worse than hearing your peers tell you suck.
Right? Oh, it's terrible. Oh, man. It's
exactly. So I like trying to put that pressure on a lot of the high school kids we work with of, hey, if you don't do it, you're letting me down, but you're not. More importantly, you're letting down your friends, and I know what it feels like to do that, and you don't want to do that.
You don't understand the value of letting down yourself either.
Exactly.
And that one, I mean, once you kind of mature and get older, man, the worst feeling is letting down yourself.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that.
That sucks. It sucks. I've done it. I've done it before. Yeah. I mean, I think everyone's guilty of it. I
would agree 100% with that.
So okay, so that's kind of how we expand and get bigger, in the gym space, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome, man. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of the second segment of the show here.
Yeah.
Is the state of mind. Right. It's it's not like the most mental health focused thing or anything like that, but it is involve mental health, because part of running a business is there's so many things that run through your mind, because the first thing is you took a risk.
Yep.
Anybody that owns a business has taken some sort of risk on.
Definitely.
As far as currently, what are current things that you do? Like, obviously you work out, right? Mm-hmm. That's cool. That's a given.
Yeah.
But what are some current practices that you do to kind of to keep a straight mind all the time for yourself? Like, how do you sharpen your own blade?
Yeah, that's a good question. I do a lot of reading, whether it's a paragraph or pages.
What kind of reading?
So I'm all into health and wellness, obviously, is first, but then I am into business strategies. I'm really into trying to learn more about housing markets and all those types of things. I like to see what very successful people have done in order to get where they did, and that usually just comes from reading the stuff they put out there, or if it's not reading, at least listening to a podcast, or even if it's just someone's YouTube channel. It's all about finance and all that different types of stuff. I'm huge onto the stock market.
Me too.
All right, good. So stocks, I always read first thing in the morning, see what's going on. I'm not one of the people who watches all day, but I'll do that opening bell stuff from 8:30 to 9:30. I'm trying to check out and see what's going on and hear everything.
Yeah.
And I do the same thing at the end of the day, closing bell stuff. I try to always see what's going on in the markets. So that's one big thing for me. And then to keep that this mindset, I'm always looking for different competitions to do for the fitness aspect of it. And I personally really think that helps keep your mind focused on, if I'm training for a marathon, I'm doing a thing called High Rocks right now, which is just an endurance race. When it involves a lot of running, it gets you a lot of time for you to think. So that's kind of why I'll read or I'll listen to podcasts, like I said, sometimes while I run, and I'll read something before, and so I can actually think about that. But I see why that strategy worked for this person. How can I implement that into now my business?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely. I think running is huge, because you can kill a lot of birds with one stone. You can run, and you can also have some type of educational thing going on in the background.
Hey, seriously.
So that's awesome. Do you have any, like you mentioned, what's your favorite podcast that you listen to?
So I'm drawing a blank on his last name, but it's Andre Jick, I believe is how he pronounces his
Okay.
last name. I'll have to send you a link if you're really into finances and stuff. He does 2 shows a minimum a week, sometimes a third one. And I started following him on YouTube when he was 50,000, 100,000 followers, something like that. He's at 2.5 million now.
Feels good when you get in early.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It really does.
Yeah. Look, dude, come on.
Yeah, right? And so I really appreciate the things he has to say, because he takes a realistic aspect into it, in a sense of, sure, his business accounts might now, or his brokerage accounts might be over $2 million, $3 million now. Didn't start like that. It came down to what I believe also goes into fitness: consistency. He found a dollar amount that he could put in there, and no matter what, it was always going to be that dollar amount every week that he had in there. If you can put more in there, great, that's even better. But no matter what, whatever it is, $10, $100, $1,000, whatever it might be, and finding that number and being consistent with that, and then checking it 5 years, 10 years, and being like, holy crap, that went from $4,000 also I'm at 400,000. How?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I started playing that game 2 years ago. Every Friday, buy one share of VTI.
There you go.
And
right?
that's not financial advice. But I mean, it wouldn't be bad. if
Right.
if it was advice.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, no, that's cool to like literally learn in like when I learned about the market, that definitely, man, I mean, like if you're ever financially struggling and you sit down and you like kind of learn a little bit about the market, just a little bit, as far as like learning how your money can work for you.
Exactly.
Man, it's pretty freaking cool.
It is. It's really cool. And seeing how many different ways you can save money, different things you can do to save your money and stuff like that. And then, like you said, see how it works for you and being like, oh, holy crap. Growing up, they didn't teach me this stuff, and I wish I would have learned this in high school.
Dude.
I know if I'd have been investing then, even like I said, $10, $5 at that time, shoot, it'd be ridiculous.
To my knowledge, they still don't really do anything like that, which is pretty crazy.
It really is. There might be some spots that do, but not major.
Yeah, I mean, like, because everyone always is like, man, if I learned this in high school, they're still not teaching it. And I've been hearing people say all that stuff for a really long time. I'm like, hey, you guys, you see any correlation here?
Right. That's very true.
Like, teach me about an FHA loan or something. I don't know.
Any of it, yes,
yeah,
exactly.
3.5%. Okay, cool. I hear you. It's learning about finance. It definitely, even for me, has made me stay sharp.
Yeah.
With my business and stuff like that. So that's really cool. I'm just taking a peek here at some other questions that I have here. Here's one of my this question. It's like a scary question to even ask. Like I literally, like once a week maybe, I'm like, man, I go through it and I'm like, ooh. Do you ever get this feeling of like, what if it doesn't work out? What would you do?
Oh yeah, I think if you're a business owner, you probably have that thought every single day.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, in some type of way, it probably goes across your mind. Whether it's the business isn't gonna fail tomorrow, but man, what if this happens, or what if this happens? Oh shoot! All of a sudden now, I didn't realize that summer's rolling around. I forgot to have the air conditioning units checked out. Oh great! Now they're not working fully properly. Now we gotta get somebody in there to come check them out. Little things like that come up that you don't really think about. It's all the time that you should maybe, but yeah, little things like that will pop up where you're like, oh man, what happens if they don't work out? I think, and depending on what you do, and this could just be me because this is what I do, the great thing about being self-employed and doing it once and having it for as long as I have is, well, if it doesn't work out, I started from scratch when I first did it. When I first walked into the gym, I had 0 clients. I was able to build an entire network of people that I worked with and trained. If I could do it once, if it fails, which I hope it doesn't, if it did, I know I can do it at least.
I love that.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You are your own master.
Yeah, it's kind of the best.
So like, you're in control of your own destiny, all of that stuff. No, absolutely. I mean, man, yeah, there's stuff like I'll wake up at night sometimes, like literally at 3 a.m. just thinking about a client on something I didn't do.
Yeah.
Just a whole bunch of random stuff, man. And like, I can wake up. I'm really good at waking up in like a full blown panic attack sometimes, like really, like just out of nowhere.
It's a skill.
Had the best day of my life. 3 a.m. rolls around. I'm in bed by like 11:30. 3 a.m. hits. Bam, my eyes are wide open. I'm thinking about a million things right away. Yeah. Coming off probably one of the best sleeps I've ever had too. So no, I mean it is a scary thing, but I like what you say to where I've done it once. I can do it again. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. So cool. All right. Well, listen, that kind of wraps up the show. I really can't think enough. Before we go, the biggest thing though is, please, how do people get a hold of you? Where can they find you?
So easiest way always is through Instagram. It's Paul Vance, but my handle is strongest pound for pound. I got that name because one of the guys I worked out with was like, how much do you weigh? I was 165 pounds at the time, and I bench pressed 225 for 20 reps.
Holy smokes.
and he's like, you got to change your handle.
Not normal.
No, it's exactly, that's not normal. He said, that's not right, man. And he's talking to me. He's like, what's your current handle? I'm like, just Paul Vance Fitness. He's like, change that. That's ridiculous. And he's actually the one. He's a buddy of mine. He's a trainer as well. His name's Stefan. And he was actually like, no, we're changing that. Strongest pound for pound. I've never seen anyone at that size do that before.
Yeah.
So that's the easiest way to get a hold of me. If not, you can literally just go to Anytime Fitness Berkley and you email us directly. And all those emails go right to my personal emails and to the business email. So if I doesn't get lost, let's just say that. So if you email, easy. DM on Instagram is usually the easiest just because we do so much work through Instagram. You can also reach us on Instagram at Anytime Fitness Berkley. So those are the easiest ways to get a hold of me.
Awesome. Cool, man. Well, Paul, once again, dude, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you for coming on and doing this. And again, your hesitation when I asked was like, yeah, sure. What time? I'll do it.
I love this stuff.
So man, that's really cool. So thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. This is episode 2 of Hustle State of Mind podcast, and looking forward to the next one.